Happy Thursday, everybody. How's everyone doing? It's a Thursday, and we're going to do work today. I also have a surprise. Small surprise. Not a very big surprise, but a surprise nonetheless. I worked on it this morning. Hello! Hi. I'm working on BLT 3.0. That's right. BLT gonna get new skin again. I got this new, brush that kind of... Okay, Affinity didn't want to. Affinity got shy. Affinity got shy apparently and doesn't want you to see what I was working on. I'm great. How about you? I'm doing pretty okay. But hi everybody. Hi Zoe. Hi Rainer. Hi Alcor. Hi Pixels. Hi everybody. But yeah, I got this new brush today that I was trying out, and I quite like it. It's kind of like a pencil brush. It's very just whoa. It's like it's very thin and I like it. Like I know you guys can't tell the difference, but when I'm drawing, I can feel the difference. It's quite nice. But yeah, I decided maybe new BLT. I might make his eyes bigger. But I don't know, I was just dicking around. I had an alternate version where he's just like oops. Where he is more like a dog, I guess. I'll go in the group. We have like this one. Then we had like this one where it's just like him and he like kind of more dog. It didn't have back legs. I felt like it was just a head with legs. So I kind of just took this and I just slapped it on a body. And I think I like that quite a bit. So I might dick around with drawing that a little bit more later. I want to see what his face looks like if it's bigger though. I think my music's a little loud. But yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys think he look cute, because I think he look cute. Let me recopy this. And get his upper. Actually, I'll just do it this way. It's fine. Give me eyeball. Give me other eyeball. Swoop. Swoop. Go. I might make him bigger. His eyes are so wide now. Look at him. He's just a little guy. It's kind of cute. I don't know. We'll probably fuck with it later though. Like, why do they do it that way? Or like, maybe we'll just take it and like bring it back. This time like that. I think that's like the alternate for his eyes. Maybe a little bit closer though. Maybe not. I need to like hide this really quick. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, so it can either be like lower or it can be higher. I'll have to look at this on my time, but for now, that is what I was working on before stream. But for now, we have some video editing to do, so we will do that first. About me. I hope you all been having a good day. Today we got Dragonlance. So we will have a full Thursday here, but that's okay because I'm excited for some D&D. I'm gonna start with the Inconveni one, I think. If I want to load, okay, there we go. Okay. And we replace Did that hep go through? I hope it did. Roll for fun. Not that one yet. Dump. Oh, right. This is still the wrong one. I'm too far ahead. This. Oh, my hands are so cold. It's like so cold this week. I was like getting ready for it to get like summer temperatures. And this week has been so cold to me. Giving me like fucking temperature shock, whatever it's called. Hot and cold, hot and cold. Excuse me if you can hear the water, but I need to pour myself a cup of water. I mixed like 5 more days. Hide devouring. I'm excited. You excited? I'm excited for you. Does that mean next Friday? Next Friday will be, or next Thursday will be the last day of school then? Unless, no. Yeah. My math is mathin'. My math be mathin'. Unless you're counting weekends. But I don't think you are? I'm not really sure. And then we have crowd calm. Boop, 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 boop. And then this one. Hi, Kiwi. Hi. Hi. Happy Thursday. And then we need the beep sound. Pretty fucking tired. This one. Let's turn this up. Why, please? Alright, I'm changing the music. Let's do this one. This might put me to sleep, actually. I don't want to listen to this one either. Beach, OCT, CG5. Audiobooks. Hell yeah, dude. Audiobooks. I'll probably fall asleep, to be honest. Let's just do the DJ. Riptide by Van Joyce. Oh my god. Not what I expected to be the first song of today. Oh, I didn't click play. And green. I gotta get the register. The register. Yeah. Wait, can I flip this? And then it would read, right? Yeah, it would. Okay. I'm like contemplating whether I want to do a thing where like there's like items getting passed by, but I don't really know. So then I could do like a beep, beep, like a I feel like I should do it. Yeah, alright, let's get some food items. Oh, kiwi, kiwi, kiwi. Look, 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 I redid BLT. I don't know if I want his wide eyes. Where's this layer coming from? Oh, is this on the eye layer? It is, okay. I don't know if I want to give him like wider eyes. It looks so wide when I look at it on stream. Or like closer eyes. It's a hard mashup. I just gotta know. Like, okay, we'll do it. What about more eyes? It's a possibility. You're not wrong. That is a possibility. He could just have more eyes. Boop. Boop, boop. You know what he's reminding me of? He's reminding me of... Boba Fett? Pokemon. I guess chat was broken on the phone. That's valid. I was thinking the same thing. That's valid. Well, Buffett. He needs a knife. Face is finally done. Hell yeah! Wait, let me look. 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 Oh, gorgeous! I love the highlights you did to the lips, and I like how you did the eyebrows. Oh my god, front facing dud. Yeah, I mean this guy's front facing, but I do him again. He's reminding me of evolution. Hold on. Doesn't he have like a younger evolution? I'm thinking of someone else. But yeah, I don't know what eyes I want to give him. I'm really liking the far eyes I'm thinking. But I also feel like maybe they're like too small. Can I squeeze it? You can squeeze it as many times as you want. When you squeeze him, he squeaks. Far eyes more derpy? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I want to make them bigger. He's like Milk Dud. Yeah, exactly. Make it too far again. No, that's equal. Yeah, so we're probably it's a toss up between these two. The bigger eyes or the littler eyes, probably. But yeah, this was take 3 of him. And I don't know if I'm gonna make him brown this time though. I think I might make him like a cookie, like a chocolate chip cookie. So that way he can have other cookie chips. So he could be like a raisin cookie or a white chocolate chip cookie. Because I really like making cookies. So I thought that could be something that's fun. I'm thinking of Munchlax. He kind of reminds me of Munchlax. Evolution, yeah. Yeah, but he kind of reminds me of Munchlax a little bit. Oh, what the heck? It's RT30? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alright, that's what we're doing. We're grabbing images. Wait, he stood up. His first step. Yeah, hold on. BLT, come here. See, he's sitting, but then we can make him stand. I think it's like this button. Nope, this button. No. This button. Nope. Which button is it? Why aren't you standing? You not want to stand, bud? Thank you for the lurk! Have a good lurk. He can stand. I just don't remember the hotkey for it. But he does stand. But I would like to make a sit stand. You should give him a hat toggle. He has one. That's what this is for. Oh, I turned it off. That's what, like, this is for. I just don't have a hat currently. Here, let me give him a hat. My assets, BLT hat designs. Oh, he doesn't have the... Hold on. He doesn't have a helicopter hat. What do you mean he don't have top hat, party hat for me? You want party hat? Okay, we can give him party hat. My birthday hat. My brand is a party hat? That's valid. Give him a little party hat. And then we save it like this. And we go to bottle to every day will be a dream. And then we just gotta reload him. There you go. Nice little party hat. See? It was all planned. It was all planned already. Him having little hats. Hi, Rhino! I'm excited to play D&D with you today. If you're not tired after D&D, we could totally hang out, though, if you want. But I understand if you're tired from work. Alright. Hi, V! Hi! Welcome on in, Raiders! I hope you had a wonderful stream. If you had the Raider one, feel free to do so. Your health is the most important to us here at the Milk Club. Otherwise, feel free to hang out. Me too. I'm feeling less tired today. Hell yeah. Hi, how was your stream? Did you have a good stream? Blah. How's it going? Hi. Hi. How you doing? I hope you have a great day. It was good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Gamed a bit alone, then a bit with Rain. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do you like milk? Cucumber. What's another suspicious thing to buy at the store? Rope. How many things do I have? I have like 4 beeps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5. Rope. Oh, maybe we should do an eggplant instead of... Hi, Rain. Hi. Maybe not rope. Maybe... We'll do eggplant. Let's do eggplant. Let's do eggplant. And then tissues. Oh, toilet paper, hell yeah. Be a stream, sweetheart. Let's do download, transparent background. Just that, done, download. Butcher's knife, duct tape, ball gag, tarp, medical rubber gloves, and a mask. Listen, we're at a grocery store. I don't know if a grocery store would have all those things, but that's, you know, it's gotta be subtle. We want it to be subtle. IDK, that's what Google said. Fair game. Fair game. It's so cold. Oh my lord. Kobini. This one save. Hi, Sentient Pancake. Walmart has most of them. Walmart does have most of those. Speaking of Walmart, I can't wait to watch the Papa Me video about Walmart. Oh, my brain. Oh, God. Yeah, he made a video about it. I'm very interested. I hope you have a great day, by the way, Sentient Pancakes. If not, feel free to tell us about it. And I'll think to myself, What a wonderful world. Okay, I'm gonna lurk and take a break. I'm exhausted from streaming for 4 hours straight. Understandable. Have a good break. We'll be here if you need anything. Okay, so it's gonna be like this. It's been a pretty pleasant day today. I'm glad. I'm so glad. And how do you do? Okay, so it's gonna be off the screen. And then right there, it's gonna beep. Move track up. It's gonna beep. And then over here, it's gonna go away. Actually, it should be the opposite way. Fuck! Fuck. That's fine. I'll just start here. And then it goes this way. So let's go. Nice. And then this guy. And then we do position and zoom. Position and zoom apply. So now, let me make sure this is correct. I might move it. Hold on. Where are you? On the first frame. Bum 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 bum. Oh, am I gonna have to do it that way? Frick. Okay, wait. I want nobody to call my own. So it's like, So what I'm telling myself is this needs to actually start like here. Yeah, okay. Into us like I'm a rover. And that is lonesome nights are over. Man, I'm so alone. Nobody to call my own. Listen on your magic beat. Wait, right here. Yeah, add track. Salmon. Boom, 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 boom. Apply. And I'm just gonna grab another cucumber frame just so I know how much it needs for equal spacing. Is there salmon? Okay, and then toilet paper. Please, Mr. Sandman, bring us a dream. Alright, so this should go. Okay, cool. Let's see. We're waiting for me. One create. The drink I'm drinking tastes like poo. I mixed gamer subs with advanced GG because the advanced GG that I'm drinking is kind of old. Because it was like a limited like time one that I got for cold ones. And it's like a strawberry daiquiri one. But we're running out of, we don't have, my roommate drank most of the other advanced GG that we have. Because we have a hydration one, and then we have an energy one. So I was like, oh, I'll just use the leftover bit that I have from the Gamer Subs one that I bought a long time ago. It's making the water taste like... It's making the water taste fucking like powder. I don't like it. I thought mixing it would help, but it doesn't really help. Sure love. And then life in there you go. And then this one. Alright, let's make sure. And then I want to fade in fire. Fade in some fire. Resources, effects. I thought I have fire somewhere, don't I? Fire. Oh, I do have fire. Yeah, there we go. Hey there, Delilah. What's it like in New York City? Yes, you do. And then we're just gonna fade it in. Don't you worry about the distance. We'll only give my song another listen. Nice. Okay, then we're just gonna zoom it so it looks more like the building's on fire. Let's see. Oh, that's why this was wrong. Roll for fun. This one. That's the way I write it all. Boop, boop, boop. Shelf goods. Chat. I'm bad at enunciating sometimes, huh? Their lives. That motion this way. I promise you that by the time that we get through, we'll never ever be the same. But to blame. I feel like this is incorrect. It should be like this. Let me try something. Roll for fun template. Oh, it's what you do to me. Yeah. Copy. paste. Nice, okay. Then we will replace out now. Cool. If you'd one and 0, I think. No, it's 1.15. My hoge is gone. Fuck. Haha. Fly with me. Paul is right with the world. Yeah, except for in the TikTok video. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna realize that it's gone. Like, I'm the only one that really notices whether it's there or not. But, like, I guess that's a tidbit for you guys here on Twitch, is that I don't have my ahoge in all of these videos. Oops. That's what shift one. Oh, fuck. Hold on, I gotta turn that off. I remember. Also, is my headphones not working? Hold on. So yeah. Let's just do a boop. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure it's working in the program. Well, it's such a lovely day. Okay, it seems to be fine. Spill. There you go. There we go. Alright, and then this. Now we can just shrink all these. They're no longer needed. And now we just do the back of this. Do up there. Oh my god, it's playing these songs because I'm in my love song playlist. Oh my god. Whoops. This one. I don't have my PureRef open. My god, my hands are cold. My goodness. Take me to the beach. Ah. It is cold enough. I have to render that one. And I finished our tips, right? It does have the yellow mark, so I presume so. Take me to the beach. My heart is cold enough. Are you anywhere what I should call my author website? You could do like, do you want it to go with your username? Cause like a play on the word library, like, or like another word for library would be cool. I don't think Emporium works that way, but Not particularly. Take me to the mall, have no friends. I need more friends. Me to the beach, have no friends. I think I'm gonna do every time I've interacted with I'm pretty sure it's probably that. Oh wait, she doesn't have one. With Rin, they've been nothing but well knowledge that I can't kill you. Okay, cool. Love is for fool. Nobody gives a fuck. This one, and then I was thinking either keeping it simple like Kiwi Goblin books, or maybe something like Goblin Hovel, since I'd like it to be my home base. You could do like kiwigoblin.com, and you could do kiwigoblin.com/books or /library. I think it would be cool, because then if you wanted to have like separate pages for things, right, you could do it like that. You could be like kiwigoblin.com/home, and then like commissions or /library. I like doing it that way personally. You can do whatever you want, obviously, but that's what I tend to like to do. Cody LeRae had a brain. He's running out. Nobody gives a fuck. I did my job. I paid my views. The fuck. Post. Who gives a fuck? My sweet Lithonia, what have you done? These are your children. I am. Each page being its own thing could work since it matches the multiple word things I have. Yeah! Yeah. I think, like, yeah, oh my god, you could do kiwigoblin.com/books. And then you could be all the stories that you write. And then it would go with your name, Kiwi Goblin Books, you know? That'd be kind of fun. I think, at least. I have to redo my website, I feel like. I should redo it at some point. Not today, though. Not today, though. Yeah, I took my meds. I was like, did I take my meds? Highlights. What memes did we have yesterday? The summer is right its way. Our booties got munched. Or I could just call it booty munching. Booty munching. Begging, baby, would you please do the things you said you'd do to me? To me. Oh, and kiss me on the mouth and love me like a sailor. Tell me what's my favor. Believe it or not, but I still leave no failure. It'll be Tuesday, isn't it? Be the 13th. But I hate to wait so long. Icons, work. Oh, so we did work, and then we played that game. And then I did live 2D stuff. Work, I read a story. And Then I played Gas Station Sim. Okay. Other things, nothing can capture. I need to update my life 2D, to be honest. It's like behind on updates. Kiss me on the mouth and love me like I say. Did I render things? Was this a day where I rendered stuff? I think it was, but I don't remember. It is. Okay, cool. I forget all the songs. Oh, and then we did do a little bit in Affinity as well. I need you to hold me, 'cause it's getting cold, and it's getting stormy, and so I know I shouldn't dive coming home. Stable. There we go. Stream. Never going home. 13 save, and then we toggle this to Thursday. Okay, I didn't. Okay. I do want to get a hairband. I want a hairband. I am wearing one in real life. I don't actually like wearing it because one in real life with my headset, because it feels like I'm stretching the band of my headset, which isn't great. It's a good thing you guys can see me in real life, because I just rustled my hair and I'm letting it be for a second so it can breathe, and good lord, do I feel it being messy. This guy has a new song actually as well that I do want to listen to, by the way. 2D models, Elaine, which is me. Save. And then I just have to reload myself. I don't have my hair clip. I don't know where my hair clip is. It's getting... Maybe it's this song. My... Hold on. Hotkey, copy, paste. Proceed, making sure that these are all good. Yep. So that way that happens, and then paste, and then don't you cry now. So now if I load, why did my Hoge go off? Oh, it's because it's the wrong one. There you go. I put my hood back on because my ears are cold, and I want my hair up, but my neck is cold. Can't have shit in Detroit, man. I think I don't live there. Oh my god, I'm so cute, guys! Look at my hairband. Oh, I'm cute. I'm cute. Okay. Okay. don't think we'll have time for games. It'll probably just be these two today. Don't you cry now. What's your time now? My baby. Okay, that does say Tuesday finish. See. Yeah. Yeah, it's already okay. Oh, also, I need to start deleting some of these. Delete video. Download. Actually, I have to do this 1 second. Today is a V-Stars vid. Baby, don't you cry now. What's the time now? It's goodbye, my baby. In your arms. Shorts, edit. Nope, back. Okay, I did, okay. Back. Ooh. Let's go tonight. Not tomorrow. VTubers I search from. I want to add them. I'm going to start adding VTubers, I think, for this. This one. Oh, fuck, I forgot. Round table. Collab. Let's make it for later at night, I think. Here for the cute streamer. Oh my goodness, thank you for the lurk. Mwah. Thank you, Bubba Lone Wolf. No. I want to do one at like 5 instead. Next Wednesday, confirm. Alright. Thinking of playing Candyland in Tabletop Simulator. Would any of your goodness. Go away. Y'all at yeah. Play your favorite tune, and you know it's okay. I think I have to reorganize my playlists in here. Alright, alright, alright. Alright. Oh, and I have to publish it now. Publish. Post. And then profile. And I have to wait. Hello, lovely lady. Hello, chaotic kitten. How are you doing today? Hope you're having a better day. Hi. How are you? Like a boogie all night. Okay, so I did post. Do you have a favorite card in Balatro? couldn't. Oh, fuck. I'll remember to do that later. Playlist. Can I filter? Can I filter them? Can I like organize them? Like profile playlists. I wish I could reorganize this. Hi, my kitty cross. Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, at least they'll be waiting for you across the Rainbow Bridge, you know? And at least they're not uncomfortable anymore. I'm sorry. But I'm here for you, and I have all the hugs and cuddles ready for you whenever you'd like them. I am here for you to the end of the earth. He's with my brother. He is with your brother. And they'll take care of each other. Now your brother won't be lonely. And your cat won't be lonely either, because they have your brother. So you can see it that way, that they won't be lonely. But again, I still have all the cuddles and stuff in the world for you to keep you comfy. I'll even make you if you like cookies or any baked goods, I'll make those for you too. But you're here with us. And now you get to tell the story of your kitty. But I'm here for you, okay? I'll always be here for you. This is the 8th. The 7th is incorrect, though. Thank you. Of course! I'm here to be your comfort character. So I'm here for whatever you need. I want to hear any and all news that you have. And if you have to vent, feel free to vent to me. I'm happy to listen. You know what's not listening? This media player. This media player is deciding not to listen to me today. I'll figure it out later. Oh, right. I'm doing a thing. But in lighter news, Chaotic Kitten, you could get, if you have the time and or money, you could get a new Chaotic Kitten. Just putting that out there. What the fuck? Hashtag converter. If you ever wanted to. I know that's what my mom did, at least. When my first dog passed away, she got a new doggo. She got a new doggo because she couldn't live without Puppo. Math isn't mathing in my head. Yeah, this shit ain't math, and this is not the 7th, the 5th, the 6th. What is this video? Because this is the 9th. This was right after D&D. What are you? This mystery file. This is a mystery file. True, but it's still sad. I'm gonna miss them, and I'm sure they'll miss you. But I think a really cool thing about cats, though, that I've noticed, is that when you get a new cat, a piece of your old cat is in the new cat. At least that's how I feel, because dogs are so different from one another when you get a new dog. Like, you don't often see semblances of, like, previous pets in them, but cats are more spiritual. So I often feel that when you get a cat, you know, you'll see pieces of them, you know? And you'll always have a part of them in your heart, so they'll never be forgotten. And that's the best part about pets, is our love for them. Love transcends time and space, it does. And I have to figure, why can't I view what this anomaly is? It's driving me insane that I don't know what this video is that I downloaded. It says the 7th, but I shouldn't have a video downloaded for the 7th. this day? This is when I was working on schedules. Did I download the 6th twice? May 9th. And this was Friday. Be my girl. A hostile government takeover. Talk about it, but I'll be late for work. Okay, so at 2:47, I wrote the word squid. Is that the same thing in here? Government. Sending love to the kitty. And to you. I mean, I guess the kiwi could have meant both, as I think about it. I gotta go to 2:47. Brand scam, surprise, surprises, and a white man. Oh. Okay, to a 2:33. Wait a minute. Both is good. Both is good. You take that deal, I take that deal. I try to figure out what the fuck. This is a 3-hour VOD. Why is it a 3-hour VOD? Oh, it's a 4-hour VOD. Eldorado reference? Oh. That, you know, is this Flash Friday's VOD? What VOD is this? Was this last Thursday? When I was editing Bryn's video. It was. It's 4:21. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay, hold on. So that was last Thursday. Wait, what day is this? The stop this is May 8th. This one is the 8th. What did I just download? I'm going insane. What the fuck? What am I downloading? I don't know what I just downloaded. Because this is the 9th, the 8th, the 9th, and then this should be Dungeons and Dragons. Nope, not that one. Walk Amongst the Wilds, episode 43, 44. Oh, is that what I just downloaded? Oh. Okay. We're good now. My brain isn't going insane anymore. I think I figured it out. Cool. Okay, so the 8th was last Thursday. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm good. I'm fine now. Never forget. I don't know. I did to know you yet. How much of this drive have I used? I can never let you go, baby. I can't wait to know. Ooh, I did that twice by accident. Oops. Always be there so you can tell me anything and listen. Boop, boop, boop. VOD, Twitch VOD, streamer, video editing, coworking, cat, cow, maincoow, digital art, maincoow, slightly above average. Sure, that's fine. I would never be cozy. Upload no thumbnail. Upload a thumbnail. Company. Twitch promos, thumbnails. Oops. Not into a line. Oops. There's an 8. And I can never let you go. I can't wait to know. Always believing, always be there So, oops. A, B, C, D, E. Baby, I can't wait to know. Publish. I will always be there, so you can tell me anything. I'll listen. Okay, cool. Cigarette on my teeth. Actress. Oh, sorry, I was just dying for a second. There we go. Okay. Boyfriend who says he's got beef that I'm under carrying, and I ain't fucking scared of him. Oh. Never trust a hoe. No trust a hoe. Don't trust me. Title. That's the wrong one. Episode. What episode was this? Stick all over the page. Possess arms. Hello, you are. Alone at the bar. Episode. Wait. 13? Don't trust a hoe. Don't trust a hoe. Trust a hoe. Don't trust me. Let me whoa. She wants to leave me whoa. Never leave me whoa. Oh. Never trust a hoe. Don't trust a hoe. Won't trust me. Touch your lips. Do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips. Say shush, girl. Shut your lips. Do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips. Shush, girl. Touch your. Oh, fuck. Envision. I can't envision that guilty. Money after it's slotted in it in a piggy bank. Whoa, ever leave me? Whoa, oh. So never trust a hoe. Trust a hoe, won't trust me. Okay. I think I want to call Wednesdays if I'm not specifically doing beef and boof. I want to call them wee woo Wednesdays. Wee woo. Beef and boof. Okay. Oh. Yes. Love. Yippee. Okay, hold on. Let me do that in my thumbnail so I don't forget ever, because it'll be set in stone. I called them Weebo. So close. Wee woo. Wee woo. A wee woo kind of woo wee type of mood. Yeah, a wee woo, a woo wee kind of way. Yeah. Our brains are working. All right, hold on. I just want to know. Oh, I only used half of it. Wait, what is taking up so much space? Is it really the VODs? Someday I'll play Claire Expedition 33. I believe. This is media. Really? Okay, I was gonna say. March has the most. That's crazy. Okay. Is it done downloading? Why do I keep closing the folder? Oh my god! I forgot to do this. Okay, hold on. Oh my god, my knuckle hurts. Alright. Roll for fun. B-roll is cropped at 78. 924. Let's do it like this, and then shelf goods. Like Prada, devil in the details. Just to exhale. Oh, my neck popped. There we go. To me like caramel. Walk beside me. Oh, good in the garden. Say, okay, now is this is this is last week's D&D session, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. I think I need it, then I understand. The word you came, so stick to me like caramel. Walk beside me till you feel nothing. Swear. We're free. Yeah. Yep. We can keep that. No one is 44 is downloaded. And this will be 45. Not like Charlie like before. Oh, like dancing along the prison, pages of prison, nightmare, obsession, I'm gonna scoot this up just a wee bit. There we go. It's like not perfectly centered. I feel like it should be like right there. But then I want footage of me playing it. Exhale. So crop, apply, retain. Where is it? There it is. Oh, that was short. Maybe I didn't. I gotta sit up. I'm slouching. I'm slouching, chat. Alright. Ordinary. I'll do like this part, I think. Let's see. Let's zoom it in a bit more. I have this like 3 times in here. Oh, my son of heaven's gate. Oh, my love, I drew ya. This my breath away. I feel like that's like a bit much. The ordinary. I might do the paint on effect. I might. Like, okay, there we go. There's that. And then I'll do another paint on over here. And then I'd like to maybe pan down. Ooh, no. We do like foreground white, but can we have it go like vertically? Oh, okay. Fade. I like a fade. Is a fade not a thing here? What? Let's do slide then. Slide bottom up. Okay, can we like blur it though? Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Oh. It anyway. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think I'm... I want to give this a shake. How it's gonna feel like I think it's a feel right. Blue jeans. Baby, mystical, magical, baby girl, is you know, want you know. I want to go to so many weddings. I want to go to so many fucking weddings. Just a side thing. I want to go to so many fucking weddings. All of you in chat better get married someday. And I better be invited. Okay? I can't promise I'll have enough money. Because if I'm going to all of your weddings, I might not have enough money to get you all something. But I think my presence should be a gift. I think, you know? A little bit, you know? And I can all the weddings I can go to, I can be like, they don't even know I'm a VTuber, except for the person that invited me. It'll be great. Oh my god. I'll just by the time y'all get married. Wait, but Kiwi's already married. Want to go to our wedding? Yeah, we'll all get married. We'll all get married. I just want to go to a lot of weddings. I've never gone to a wedding. I want to go wedding. I'm going to marry you all off to, I don't know. I said that and I immediately went, well, they give you the boot. But maybe by the time everybody gets married, I haven't been in years. I miss wedding food. Yeah, like I want wedding food, bro. I promise I won't be like, I'm not picky. I have no allergies. I'll be a great guest. And I won't eat a lot. I'll just have a little bit. I'll invite you to my baby shower now. So whenever we have a kid, yay! Yeah! Can we have a kid? I had no one that wants to have a kid. Out of all the friends that I know, I feel like I don't know any of them that want to have a kid. So Kiwi, if you're gonna have a kid, oh, you best believe. And if you, no, well, I was about to be like, if you need a free babysitting service, I know a parent couple, but that would be my parents and maybe not. Oh my God, my wife wants to have one within the next year. Good luck, Kiwi. Good luck, soldier. I believe in you. Stand your ground. And if I can't come to your baby shower, which I might be very shy to, but I really like to as and stuff. But like, if I can't make it, I'll get you a gift for the baby. I'll get you like primo diapers or something that like all parents need, but are or maybe I could get you like those colic baby bottles. I heard those are really good. Yeah, these like anti-colic baby bottles where there's a lot of islanders there. Yeah, you know, it's interesting how many islanders are like in Colorado, on God. But yeah, they have like these ones. And I heard like these ones are pretty good. But I'll do my research. Or like, what the fuck? This is like it's like a squiggly cup for babies. Or I'll get them toys. Or I could get them toys. My sister-in-law has some of those for my nephew. Are they good? You know, I never really learned about colic babies. What is colic? Until like recently just started showing up in my For You page. Colic refers to an insect crying an otherwise healthy baby for no apparent reason. It's defined as crying for more than 3 hours a day, at least 3 days a week for more than 3. But why? Why? What is colic and what causes it? Colic refers to excessive crying baby. It's unknown. But wait, how do baby bottles stop colic? Also, my screen is like small. Anti-colic bottles are designed. Sounds like I've got colic then. Mood. Fucking mood. Nori is treated so she can educate you when you visit. Yay! Oh my God, that's so cool because then when I have a baby, I can be like, Kiwi's wife. Is this normal? I can't wait to have a kid. On God, I can't wait to have a kid. I can't wait to pop that little shit out and for him to hate me when he's 16. I can't wait. On God. I romanticize. Like, I think a weird trait that I have, and maybe it's my tism, is I love the idea, like when I was a kid, I love the idea of going grocery shopping. I love the idea of paying my bills. And like, yeah, now, like paying bills kind of sucks because it's expensive and it takes money that I wish I could use for other things. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I liked that adult freedom. I like the idea of adult freedom of being able to pay my own bills, doing laundry, washing the dishes, having to worry about like taking care of my pet or whatever. It's always a weird thing that I think I internally romanticized growing up. And like, even now, even though like, you know, I don't have a stable job or whatever, like I still romanticize it a lot. The fact that I get to wash my own dishes, that I have a cat that's my baby, and that I'm living my own life, you know? I have keys to my own apartment, you know? But I think, like, now in my life, I'm, like, 25, and I can't wait. I can't wait to pop out a kid. I want to be a housewife for the entire time I've realized I was a woman. It's a good life. On God, you wouldn't have to work. You just have to take care of the kids. Hopefully the person that you marry would appreciate all the work you do, because I feel like being a housewife is pretty fucking poggers. It's a lot of work, but, like, it's poggers as long as you have someone that, like, appreciates you. Because the housewife era, I feel like, was bad mainly because people that were stay-at-home parents or wives or whatever, they just weren't appreciated for all that they did, you know? But it's a good life to be able to have at the end of the day, you know? And that's how I feel about it, at least. Like, sometimes I wish I could be a stay-at-home wife, but I think Pixels will be better at that, to be honest. Because he's got a lot more of that knowledge that I think it would take to be a housewife. And I'm just like, I like to make that bread. So in an ideal world, I'll just become a big popular streamer, and then I'll pay everybody's bills. So I'll be everybody's breadwinner. And then you all can be housewives. I will be making so much bread. Yeah, you make the edible bread. I'll make that non-edible bread, because you shouldn't eat money. You probably. Oh my God, I have a question. Okay, how am I ADHD today? Can you cook out AIDS? So I was talking to Pixels the other day, and this is kind of like a side thing, right? AIDS can be transmitted through bodily fluids, right? And I was like, eat the rich, but the rich probably have AIDS. Right? So if we were to, hypothetically, of course, if an FBI agent, this is hypothetical, I'm not gonna do this, but if hypothetically I were to take a rich person and I were to cook them, would I still get their AIDS, you know? If I cook them, you know? And I understand, like, I feel like I'm gonna look this up on Google, and the only thing you can't cook is prion disease, physical hazard, and chemical jazzers. Okay, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. Like opioids and stuff. Okay. So what I do is I take hypothetically, of course, I take the rich person and I deprive them of any drug and opioids for a month, you know, and then I will then, hypothetically, catch them, hog-tie them, and roast them, and cook them and eat them. And while they're fearing for their life, hypothetically, of course, because we're role-playing here, I would have them write in their will that I get all their money. Okay. Sounds good. But, like, if you were to cook a human with AIDS, would you be able to eat it and not get AIDS? Let the person infected with HIV prepare meals if no, it's not what. This is not answering my question. This is not. Okay. I have to use a bot. I'm gonna use ChatGPT real quick. I need to know if an AI could tell us better. If I were to cook a human with AIDS, and then eat that person, would I get AIDS? But you can't eat stuff that's gone bad even if you cooked it, because bacteria or byproducts can still kill you. Like botulism cannot survive in a human, but botulism toxin is deadly after cooking. Okay. No, you should not get HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, from eating cooked human flesh, even if the person has HIV. Okay, all right. Hypothetically, if you're asking this from a scientific or hypothetical standpoint, I can explain further. But if it's from a personal or real world scenario, I urge you to speak with a mental health or medical professional. Just so my FBI agent doesn't get mad, don't worry. This is all hypothetical. Got it. Thank you for clarifying. In that case, here's some quick scientific breakdown for your hypothetical. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, so please correct me if I do pronounce it wrong. Vexed. I love it. No, we love passionate autism in here. Hypothetical, wink, wink. No, HIV is not transmitted through eating and cooking completely. Okay, so cooking would destroy the virus. What about eating raw or uncooked flesh? Still very unlikely unless the flesh contains active HIV-infected blood or fluids, and it would need to be extremely fresh. So if we wanted to have HIV from a rich person, we'd have to like eat them straight up, like straight up zombie eat them. Vexed. Okay, you got it right. Yay! Yay! Okay, good. Not hypothetical to me. I would eat a concerning person. Yeah. Yep. Me too. You have an open wound, sores, or bleeding gums in your mouth. Okay. Even then, the condition would have to be very specific and very extreme. HIV is a fragile virus that doesn't survive long outside the human body or in harsh environments like the stomach. So no Elon Tartar. I mean, we could try. If you're interested, there are other examples in medicine and anthropology where consuming human tissue has led to diseases. Kuru in Papua New Guinea, for example, has caused consuming human brains infected with prions. Okay, well, we wouldn't eat their brains. We don't. No, their brains are waste products. We don't eat the brains. We can eat the rest of it. The genitals would become consenting. God, I can't spell. You're fine. You're totally fine. So genitalia would be put as garnish, and then brains get chucked in the trash. I don't want anything to do with that. Human bone does taste like Cool Ranch Doritos. I don't want to believe you on that, but I kind of want to believe you on that. I want to lick a bone. I heard if you lick something, like if you don't know if something's a bone or not, if you lick it and your tongue sticks, it's a bone, is what I've learned. Hi, Noble. We're just talking about a hypothetical situation that I had to ask an AI what would happen. First-hand experience. No, you're telling you weren't okay. I need like proof that you had a bowl of bone dust and a bowl of Cool Ranch Doritos, and you ate them side by side. Because I feel like they taste different. Bruh. I feel like they wouldn't be the same. I can't believe. It's hard to believe. Walk around with IDs. Gotta love licking the bone. I do like bone marrow. Like bone marrow soup. I don't know how many of you have had it. I think we get it from a cow. Yeah, like a slow cooker bone marrow soup. Mwah. Delish. I wasn't allowed to eat it in the cadaver lab. Then how do you know? I need like photo evidence. Wait, we can just look it up. Does human bone dust taste, I can't type, like Cool Ranch Doritos? God damn! The FBI is gonna think I'm just a straight up, no, human bone does not taste like Cool Ranch Doritos. The smell of donuts can be compared to Cool Ranch Doritos by medical students, but this is comparison based on the sharp, tangy smell. Oh, so bone dust smells. So what? Okay. It's really beefy. I wasn't, every time I eat bone and chicken, I suck the marrow out. That's valid. I feel, once they can no longer equalize the smell of, okay, so what they're saying is bone dust does smell like Cool Ranch Doritos. It does. It smells very similar. But the taste is more earthy and metallic. Which makes sense because of, blood and stuff. But that just means to me that bone dust is just organic Cool Ranch Dorito dust. If you think about it. So if you ever see a Cool Ranch flavored chip at like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, that's probably bone dust. That's my canon now. That's the life that I live now. Thank you. That is the life that I live now. The existence that I believe to be true. You cool ranch. But like, wait, okay, here's another thing. Okay, wait, does spam taste like human flesh? Because I heard Boffy told me that that cannibals are weaned off of human flesh with spam. Are cannibals weaned off of human flesh with spam when compared to pork? I can see that. Oh, it's not real? Oh, because I was gonna be like, it would be so funny if like if someone actually ate a human. What we taste like is a Dorito wrapped in spam. But if we're pork, like, maybe it'd be just like a hot dog and Doritos, which is, in my opinion, a better combination. A hot dog and Doritos. So, if that's a better thing, I don't know. If that's a worse thing, I don't really know. But it is a thing that I now know of, and that we all now know of, so the more you learn, the more you know. I'm happy to know this. If people say it's like bacon wrapped Doritos, you know we eat each other all the time, but I think our morality would fuck us up. We taste like pork because we have similar diets as pigs? Damn. That's fucked up. I'm okay, I'll be a little pig. Pigs are cute. I'm fine with this. Down her ring finger. 2. Like, ooh, 21, 22. Good. I'm a fat man. This is coming out. Get in the shower is coming out next Wednesday, actually. 21st, save. But I'd be fine with that. I would eat people. I'm gonna be honest, Vexed. That is a wild statement. And I'm going to need a formal essay written about the experience. I want to know, has someone eaten their own balls when removed for trans surgery? What the fuck? I don't think anybody has. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT about this again. I just want to know the robot's answer. And oh, I seldom see you when I get you every year. Oh, it's hard. Okay, has a trans person ever? I think you are Vexed, and honestly, you should write a Reddit post about it, and I will read it. But you should, because I feel like this is something that everybody should know. Because, like, what else are they gonna do with the balls? You can't really donate them, can you? Has a trans person ever eaten their balls after reassignment surgery? There are no credible or documented cases of a transgender person consuming their testicle after gender-affirming surgery. Gender-affirming surgery, such as orectomy, removal of testicle, are performed in sterile clinical settings with proper medical and removed tissue is usually disposed of according to the medical waste regulation. If you can you keep your balls after gender-affirming surgery? In most cases, you can't! Okay, well, hopefully they'll accept your request, because I didn't know that they may not let you keep it. That's crazy. Oh, it's your balls, though. Wait, what do you mean that you couldn't keep it? They're your balls. Like, I understand it could be, like, I get it, like, it could be, um hazardous, but it's your balls. You know, it's your balls. This feels like a type of research my writer friends tell me they do. I needed to know. I needed to know. This is important information that we have to learn. Cause for what is for what is stupidity but not fear of knowledge? And we're not stupid. I do know how to handle biohazards low, so that hopefully they'll give it to me. I hope so too. Too bad. I'm sad that I can't ask ChatGPT other things now because I've used it too much. But like, I want to. Oh, okay. Maybe Google can answer it though. How can I keep my balls after gender affirmation surgery? It's important to understand that keeping the scrotum temperature after gender is possible, but it depends on the specific procedure and the individual needs and goals. Some surgeries, like male to female involve removing. Oh, I guess it depends on what kind of surgery you get. And that's why it's like, like you may not be able to get them. I guess talk to your doctor about it, but I hope for the sake of science that you get to keep them. That's my hope, is that you get to keep them. Okay, I think that should be good. I just have to relaunch DaVinci so that way I can do the subtitles. We're learning so much here today. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of us for learning. You know how hard it is to learn in this day and age? Very. Will I remember this next week? Maybe. I think I'll remember the high points about it, you know? I'll remember most of it, I think. This will go in other. Can you donate your balls after gender affirmation surgery? But you can't donate the testicles for research. I thought between individual or oh yeah, that makes sense. No, that makes sense that it would be a hard thing to transplant one person's ball to another person, because like it would be like transplanting like an organ. It'd have to be compatible with the body, otherwise the body would reject it. That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense. I wish it was easier. You know, another question I have is, how are we the apex predator of the world? Because we're not. Like, we're not on the top. Like, on God, I feel like we're not on top of the food chain. Like, I understand, like, sure, like 100 people versus a lion, maybe like we would win, but it's kind of like one person against one lion, which I feel like is more reasonable. We would lose, you know. So how are humans the apex predators? Humans are often considered apex predators due to their unique combination of intelligence, tool use, social organization, and omnivorous diet, which allows them to effectively hunt and consume a wide range of prey. We don't, a lot of us though, but to be fair, a lot of us humans don't hunt. We don't hunt. While not physically powerful like some other apex predators, humans leverage their cognitive abilities and technology to dominate the food chain. Yeah, but like, I feel like there are a lot more animals that are more sympathetic or empathetic than we are as humans. You know? I don't know. What? Did I do this wrong? Oh, I didn't. I think I didn't click do it. Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we're mid-tier, you know? We're actually okay. Wait, hold on. There's a science alert thing on it. Paleolithic cuisine was anything but lean and green, according to a 2021 study on the diets of. Oh, so we're only apex predator because of our food and what's happening? You're like vibing, bro. Shouldn't be that mad. Oh right, yeah, no, that makes sense. My timeline got confused. But yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know. I feel like us humans like went down in the apex predator list like a good bit of a few generations ago. You know. I feel like I'm gonna be honest. You know, when I think that we as humans went down in the apex predator list when what were the when hoverboards were made? Is that what they're called? Hoverboards? These shits. These things. When these things were made is when I feel like we went down. You know, we didn't even get these. If we got this, if we had the future the Back to the Future fucking hoverboards, we would still be going up the apex ladder, you know? But we only have these. We had those. And I'll be honest, I think it made us go down a little bit. Because they're just more dangerous segways. At the end of the day. And it's like, why? 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 At least that's how I feel about it. I don't know. Position, apply. Okay. Sure, love experience. The real retail experience. My customers and good managers. Just like in real life. Think of Putting One Store Mini Stories is a third-person single-player simulation game centered around a small town. Store in the early 1990s. Show goods. Shelf goods, engage in meaningful conversations with your customers, and see how choices how choices you make impact their lives. Chat let me know that this game released their demo, and I knew I had to try out such a cozy game. Oh shit, I was supposed to message someone back, I just remembered. Okay, there you go. I had another question, but now I forgot what it was. Oh! This song reminded me of the Meghan Trainor debacle. I don't know if you guys did. Why did Meghan Trainor decide to change her lyrics? I saw like a TikTok video about how Meghan Trainor changed her lyrics. It was like obviously I'm not a size 2, and like now it's like something else, right? I wonder if they'll show the side by side. Other people saying I'm insulting as this woman. Yeah, I don't. Hi, Wacky. Yeah, so essentially she's changed her song all about that bass to nice head bonk, strong look, thank you. Nice headband. I don't know why I said head bonk, but thank you. I feel cute in it. But Meghan Trainor like changed the lyrics because she's like, obviously I'm not a size 2, which she might be a size 2 now. And then it's like, obviously I'm not gonna have like like, yeah, all about, like, she made a joke that, like, now it's about, like, her boob job and stuff, and, like, people got mad at her about it. And then the video was like, oh, but, like, other people have changed the lyrics in their songs before. Like, Kesha being like, it's understandable why you said, "Well, it's the only thing I do before leaving." It's your ritual. But, like, for example, Kesha's song, waking up feeling like D Pity, but now it's like waking up fuck D Pity, you know? But that's different, I feel like. I feel like it's different because those are taking things that were relevant in the past and then changing them to reflect current times. But, like, while you can say that Meghan Trainor's new lyrics reflect current times, I feel like it was a change that was unnecessary. Because understandable, she may not be able to relate to that song as much anymore because she's not as plus size as she was. She's lost weight and stuff like that. But I think the fans that she had that came from that song, which was, like, one of her big songs, like that song a lot because of the body positivity it was about. And I don't think she needed to change it. Even if she can't relate to it personally, like, it's about making it relatable to your audience, I think. Also, I feel like, I also wake up feeling like P. Diddy, repressing the guilt of my actions, although I like to think his actions are just a smidge. Yeah, I mean, you didn't use baby oil, so. But, I feel like, you know, the fuck D Pity thing was kind of like, it in the way is changing it to be more relevant with your audience's opinions, which is fuck D Pity. Makes sense, right? But saying, like, oh, I got a boob job and yeah, I'm a size 2 now, like, it's not gonna be something that is relatable to your entire audience because not everybody in your audience can afford to do those rigorous, like, to hire a trainer to help you lose weight or, like, you know, be on Ozempic like Lizzo, you know, that's some of that shit takes money and time that people don't have. And instead they took some of that money and that time to see you. And I feel like just changing that it's just weird. I don't know. That's just another thing that I saw today that I was just like, I don't know how to feel about it, but I don't feel positive about it, but I don't feel negative about it. Like, I understand, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's not always about you. I know that they're there to see you, but it's also about your audience and connecting to your audience. I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy is actually a really catchy. It is! And I also feel like, but also her saying fuck D Pity, I think kind of, like, flows pretty well too, because, like, I don't know, it just sounds good. She didn't break the flow too much. I think I heard the new, like, it's all about, like, it shows the lines in the video that, like, she re-sings, and it just doesn't flow as well. Can't wait for Lizzo to change her lyrics to add bananas. Hey, man, I don't know if Lizzo will do that, though. Because, I'm hoping that she doesn't, at the very least. Because, like, if they can at least, if Lizzo can at least take from Megan's fuck up, just don't change the lyrics. And, like, on God, why change something that's already good? Unless it's, like, actually controversial, why change it? You know? If it's a thing that made you blow up, like, just leave it. On stream, and it was very relaxing, and enjoy the in-depth conversations that you can have with the NPCs. If you'd like to try out this game for yourself, today, grab the demo and Steam and wishlist it. Save. Vex, sorry if I kept dropping out of chat. I'm at work right. No problem. I know a lot of you guys are at work when I'm streaming, so no sweat at all. Like, I totally get it. You are totally fine. I know a lot of the times I stream, a lot of the times when like, everybody's like, it's at work time. I stream at a normal 9 to 5 hours, so, and a little bit past, so I totally get it, no problem. I'm just here when you need a break. I'm just here to be your little coworker, to peek over your desk and be like, hey, what you doing? Prodigy changed slap my bitch up to slap the pitch up. Nobody tell them that being a twisted fire starter also isn't a good thing. Well, yeah, I personally, sneaking a boop. Oh my God, thank you for sneaking a boop. I hate drama, man. I'm 25. Like, I think Eggy posted it. What I'm doing right now, I'm killing these orders. Kill them orders, Bext. I believe in you. I'm hyping you up. I hate drama. Oh God. Like, it's juicy and I like talking about it sometimes, but at the same time, I think the only drama I don't super like is political and VTuber drama. It's tiresome. I think it's because I hear too much of it. But I think, like, the music industry doesn't have enough drama, I feel like, because I don't hear enough about it, so I want to talk about it. I want to talk about drama that I don't get enough of. Once I have too much of it, I'm tired of it. Get over yourselves. I think it's because a lot of, like, it almost feels like political and VTuber drama is very high school oriented. It feels like I'm in high school all over again. And it's fucking, I'm just like, I'm 25, I'm not in high school anymore, leave me alone. Give me, like, actual tea. Give me actual tea. Who fucked your boyfriend? That is high school, though. He doesn't have enough drama. Oh boy, it's time for you to get into drill rap. No, I'm okay. I'm okay with that one. Boffy told me a little bit about that one. That one could stay in its own corner, because that one is like, I don't know enough, and I'm probably gonna get fucked over for not knowing enough, you know? So I'll leave that one in its corner. I just feel like more drama. Well, I guess I'm wrong because music celebrities, like singers and stuff, still have drama because they're celebrities. I guess I don't talk about celebrities a lot here because I'm not in that sphere, you know? I just listen to music because I like music, you know? It's true crime meets man music. That's valid. They had, we watched The Gentleman and it had drill rap in it. And I personally really liked it in the movie. I mean, I'll listen to some of it. The Gentleman. Boxes of Bush. Fight porn? What the fuck? Oh, that's the second one, isn't it? That's when they... Oh my god, Bugsy Malone is, like, legit on here? Man, The Gentleman was such a good fucking movie. I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again just because I like it. Everyone in that fucking movie was so hot. Even the main wife. God damn. This one, Michelle Dockery, she was the wife. Like, understandable, bro. If you like it, watch Snatch or Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You got it. I'll add it to my list. Let me add it. Hold on, let me write it down here. I'm just gonna add that in here for now. But, oh, The Gentleman was so good. Everyone in it, Charlie Hunman, Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell, mwah, all handsome. I loved them. I loved them. I need more gay and or women in here so we can all gush about handsome men. Because sometimes I just want to. I didn't get enough of that in my life where I was like, oh my god, he's so hot. It's just like, I feel shy about it a lot of the times. That's not my UK experience, but I guess people in the movies are better lurking. I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm, like, specifically talking about actors. But, I don't know. Cause, like Joseph Gilgun is another actor. God, I love him. He's 6 foot. Ha! Oh my god, how hot is Pixels? Wow, I mean, bite fist. I would love to let you know sometime. Wait, actors? I would like to retract my last comment. Yeah, I was more talking about actors because I understand that, like, the world of UK actors and European actors is a very, very small percentage of the looks of, like, Europe and the UK. Because, like, I actually had this talk the other day where it's like, everything you see on social media and all those hot bitches that you see on social media is such a small percent of the looks of people in everyday life. So many more people look more mundane than people realize because of social media. But Joseph Gilgun, bro. What is this? I don't know what this is. I'll go back to my music because I don't want to fuck it. The actor is in a TV called... That actor's in a TV called Brasic. It's good second monitor show. Brasic, huh? Joseph Gilgun, I watched him in Preacher. He was Cassidy. Oh, it looks like he's like a main actor in it. Oh, that makes me happy. Because he was also in the UK's version of Shameless. And I was very interested in that. But it looks like he's a main actor in this, so I will be adding this as well. Because Brace Ick. It means poor, broke, skint. He's the lead. Yay! I love him. I like it. Oh, he's so handsome. I love Joseph Gilgun. I love him. He's so good. In Preacher, oh god, in Preacher, he was so handsome. I love him every second. He's an Irish vampire. And I'm like, bass like the metal, and say it fast. Oh, Bassic? Is that how you say it? Brassic? Paul's, I still can't type. That's okay, no one types here. I was sent a funny video. I don't know if I can watch it on stream. God damn, Joseph Gilgun though. Oh, Brassic, you got it. I'm glad I could find you. Been enjoying hanging out here. Oh, I'm so happy too. Bubble Own Wolf, I'm so glad. I'm hoping to give the happy vibes. Honestly, streaming today has put my mood up 200%. I was having a shit morning just because I was like depressed this morning, but I'm good now. Staring at handsome people. Normally a lesbian, but oh my god, he is so hot in Inglourious Bastards. Wait, is he in Inglourious Bastards? Inglourious. I want to watch that movie again too. And don't worry, Vexed, we can have a whole arc about hot women. Don't worry, we can have a whole arc about hot women. I didn't think he was in... If we want to talk about hot women, I'm gonna need a second, because, like, I've only recently feel like I've gotten to know more and more actors by their names and not by, like, their characters. Who is a gorgeous actor? Like, female actors. Oh my god, Eva Green? Oh, fuck. Hold on. My mama. She's my mother. Oh, she's French? Don't tell Boffy. My mother in the actress world is Eva Green. Ella Purnell. Hold on, let me look her up. Ella Purnell, she gives me sister vibes. She's like, she could be my big sister to me. I feel like maybe it's because we might be similar. If she's not younger than me, it could be... Oh no, she's older than me. Okay, we're around the same age though, so she gives me like big sister vibes, but she is very fucking pretty. Sigourney Weaver, ooh, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, bro. Like, look at that curly hair. She's stunning. Stunning, I love her. God damn. Sigourney Weaver is such a good actor too. But Eva Green is my mom, bro. She is my mother. I love her. Everything she's in, especially fucking Penny Dreadful. God, like, just I fucking love Eva Green. And fuck, what was her name? She's Alice from Resident Evil. Sigourney Weaver this year. Heck yeah, I followed you back when you did the bandwidth and banter. I get busy with other things, so I lurk less. No, it's no problem. I love my lurkers. I love them so much. Mwah. It is totally cool if, you know, you get busy and you have to do other things. That's what I'm here for. I'm just kind of... I like to be... I'm your second monitor streamer, you know? You put me on in the background, you know? Her? But this girl? This woman? Who is she? Mila Jovovich? Gorgeous. I love her. What does Sigourney Weaver look like now, though? Sigourney Weaver. She aged good? That picture, she didn't age good, but she does feel like a mom. I'd be like, Mommy. Mama, mother, get me cookies. She's very pretty. But oh my god, Mila Jovovich? Bruh, look at her. What is her, any woman over 18 who I'm not related to? Yes! She is Serbian. Wow. Okay. She's so gorgeous. God damn, bro. Like, my top 2 female actors are Eva Green and her. Like, when I see them, woo! Drew Barrymore. Okay, whoops. This is why we have movie night, so that way I can learn more about actors. She's cute. I don't think she's like, she doesn't get my penis hard, but she's cute. She's cute. Not one that I would personally go on down to Fucktown with, but she's cute. I do like her. Trying to think of who. Oh, but this picture though, maybe a little chub. Little chub. You're cute. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't want to be a cop-out and say, what was her name? Megan Fox. But, like, I had the mindset of a little boy. When she was in Transformers, I had the mindset of a little boy, man. She looked so good in Transformers. Just saying. Like, they did her good. They did her good. I feel like a good movie to compare is Ocean's 40, I think it is. Nope, Ocean's 11 movies. They have one where it's like, it's all women. Ocean's 8? Yeah, Ocean's 8. Oh my god, Anne Hathaway? Anne Hathaway, bro. Helen Bowman Carter? Her? She's like a mom. She's like a grandma or a mom to me. Like, I like her a lot, but she doesn't make my rocks hard, but I do, like, wish she was my mom. That doesn't do it for me, but every teen girl I grew up with was secret watch Jennifer's kissing body scene. I mean, it makes sense. I need a woman with a wolf cut to beat me to death. Rhea Ripley? Rhea Ripley, baby? What about Rhea Ripley? Rhea Ripley? Mom? Mom? Literally mom? Literally mom? I want to meet her someday. I don't know if she'd like me. I hope she'd like me. I hope she, like, sees me like a small rabbit or a small round hamster, because I'm a little chubby. So I hope she would be like, oh, you're a cute little hamster. I would put you in the microwave, and I'd be like, yes! What is a wolf cut? It's like a grown-out mullet. A wolf cut is where you have, like, these thin layers on top, and then you have a longer layer down here. And oftentimes, this is how it looks on women. It's a bit more, like, of a shaggy look. Thank you for the lurk! Yeah. God, she's so hot. Yeah, Rhea Ripley is so fucking hot, dude. Oh, I love her. I'd hate that this photo is, like, not crispy. Why is the photo not crispy? Like, I love her! I love her so much! I love her so much. And I loved her before she had a huge hype train behind her. I just have to put that out there. Because, like, a bunch of a few people that I know are starting to get on the Rhea Ripley train. And I'm like, I was here first. Not first. I wasn't here for the blonde era. But this era... She's mom. She's mom. No one does it like her. God damn, bro. And she trains good, bro. She actually trains hard. See, it's not just look. She trains, bro. Let's go to her Instagram. Like, oh, look at her. Look at her. Oh, man. I gotta stop looking at this arm. Okay. Yeah, okay. Enough gushing over people I'll never get to be. Based and mommy piled? Yeah. Bro. Man. Mommy characters just get me. But they had to be specific mommy. Because, like, for example, Lady Dimitrescu from... She's not giving it. Should we leave and give you a moment? No, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I'm fine now. This is not the blue site. We're on the purple site. But she doesn't do it for me. Like, I get that she's tall and she's got a nice pair. She's got a nice rack. Ew, that's so gross. But it doesn't, like, I get that she's tall, but I don't feel like she could rip my head off. You know, I need a woman that can rip my head off. Like Junker Queen from Overwatch. She could rip my head off. And I'm like, yeah, all right. If that's the way I gotta go, that's the way I gotta go, you know? I've never understood the mommy thing. I want to be, I want to hold, not be held. That's because you're not, but to each their own. I think, yeah, it's a lot of each their own. It's, you don't maybe just want to be submissive. You're just not a submissive person. And that's totally cool. There are plenty of sexy women that, you know, it's so sad that deaf people can't experience Dommy Mommy ASMR. But, okay, Vexed, on the other side, imagine roleplay. Oh, wait, no. Well, I mean, it's kind of heightened senses kind of thing, right? They'd have more heightened senses if they did an in-person thing, though, right? So, you get that exchange, I guess. What is Junker Queen's height? Wait, what is this? She makes me so happy. Junker Queen makes me... She's 7 foot tall! Sign out. Sign at me with those strong hands, mommy. That's how the deaf guy. Hey, man. Hands do it for people. For me, I'm in control of the majority of my life, so it's nice to give... Yeah. Sign at me, pardon. You're fine. You're fine. I didn't read the full context, and I just tried to read it without context, and my brain was like, huh? But yeah, that was a good tangent, guys. Good tangent of me swooning. I wish I could have, like, a board of all the people. Also, no, that's like a whole other thing. But yeah, I love people. Also, I just, okay, no, we have to go on this. Dad bods, for those of you who are into men here. Dad bod Lyos from, I spelled that wrong. Lyos. Dad bod Lyos. Give it. I love it. 10 out of 10. Dad bods, Dad bods make me feel all kinds of things. Cause like the thing is, I don't, unless it's a literal monster, men with ripped abs make, I'm literally transgender Lyos, I love you. Mwah, I love you. Oh, so you're kind of like Fallon then, huh? But, cause Fallon and Lyos are very similar to me. I feel like they're twins, but they're not twins. I understand they're brother and sister, but to me they're like twins sometimes. I have to open this file or else it not being in front of me is gonna drive me crazy. I like men that aren't muscular unless they're literal monsters. I like women who will literally rip me apart. And that's it. This place gets thirstier every time I come back. I'm just in a good mood. I'm in a good mood, so I'm willing to talk about. Laz just has more food autism. He do. I love Senshi. Okay. Senshi and Lyos are like teeter-totters for me. I like them a lot. I think I like Senshi more just because he's more, he's just so caring. Senshi's just so caring. And I love that. I feel like he'd be like, great sex, babe, want a bowl of soup? Thank you for the wellness check. I do need to drink more water. I'm blushing though. I'm blushing like crazy because we're talking about crushes and I'm like, hee hee. Yeah, Senshi will code for you. Like, Laios would protect me to the ends of the earth, like he does for Fallon, which is very sweet. Love it. But like, I don't know. I just like Senshi more. I just love Senshi. I don't know. Like, okay, hold on. Senshi. Chibi. I want to hold Senshi. Hold on. I'm putting this down. Where is it? I want to hold him. I need someone to, like, draw me Senshi like a doll. I mean, I should just do it myself. Plush. I saw this plush. It's really cute. I actually really want this plush. Copy image. And put it in Affinity. Boop. Ew. It's like a gross image size. There you go. I just want to hold him. Section only. PNG. Oops. I just love Senshi a lot. He's so cute. Just add a helmet and you're already gender shifted dwarf guy whose name I can't spell. That's valid. Senshi. It's like sensei. It's like like just think sensei, but replace the E with an I. But yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that. I'd love to be I would, oh my god, if I get big guys, one of these Halloween, I'll dress up, I'll get my model to have a Senshi outfit. I'm holding Senshi. This makes me so happy. Yeah, I don't know how to spell my own name most of the time. Forget about that guy. That's valid. Oh, that's valid. His name is not like a typical name that you like. I feel like a Japanese person would be more used to it, you know? Oops, I overprepped lettuce. No! It's okay now. Now you could just have extra for other stuff now. In case. Or if you're hungry, you can have it as a snack. Put some lime on it or lemon on it. It'd be pretty good. I had lemon on my lettuce the other day. It was pretty good, actually. Oh, right. I need to add. Let us all give you ideas for it. Yeah! You can eat it. You could, I don't know. I just think eating it. I feel like eating it's a good idea. V-stars. That intricate. Make wraps and grill them. That is true. But if you're on the clock, well, like, you should give them something, like, you should suggest them something that's, like, quick to do, though. Because they might be working. I meant, at work, I make salads. I make, like, 6 heads too much because I thought today would be a nightmare. But that's okay. Yeah, I guess grill them. I guess grill them, actually. No, I think Wacky's right, because, like, that's a lot. I mean, what are they gonna do with the leftovers? Oh my god, what the fuck? What are they gonna do with the leftovers other than, throw them away? You know? That's fucking funny. Blend it and make a nice soup. I like my lettuce soup peppery. Oh, that makes sense. Lettuce soup wouldn't be bad. I hope that you could, I actually really hope that you can take the extra lettuce or something. I guess it is a lot of lettuce. I don't know, you can make it for your coworkers or something. I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm not really in the food industry, so I actually don't know. Sliced chicken and noodles most of the way to stir fry. That's valid. What can you make with lettuce and lettuce alone? Maybe some seasoning, though? Because, I don't know, when I used to work for, as a barista, we could have 2 drinks per shift, but it's kind of like you're not allowed to make, like, the super fancy drinks. But hopefully use it tomorrow, but there's a good chance that I don't use it at all. That's valid. You could just put it in a container and put it in the fridge, and hopefully someone will use it, at the very least. You like a cook? That's cool. You're cool. I like you. I like you. What's the thing that Catbug says? You're my friend now. We're having soft tacos later. I mean, I'm having pizza today for dinner, but you can have some if you want. Pixels is making homemade pizza. I made the dough. I helped him make the... well, technically, I helped him make the dough, but I was the one that did all the work. And I didn't know that the pizza dough... First of all, I didn't know pizza dough could be so sticky. Because I didn't wet my hand. I didn't know I was supposed to wet my hands when kneading the dough. So the dough just stuck to my hands. And I was kind of like, what do I do? And he's like, oh, you were supposed to wet your hands. And I was like... And so I was like there for like 10 minutes just unsticking my hands from the dough. On which, it's where you make sandwich, but sad to replace the bread with lettuce. It's not sad if you have a gluten intolerance. It's just how you gotta survive. I should make a pizza before I leave work today. Do it and send pictures. I love seeing food of pictures. Because I'm a fatty. I love food. I'm a fatty. I love food. I think I have to clip it here. I'm not a fatty, but I am a foodie. I'm not a bigot. The only thing I'm intolerant to is intolerance. That's valid, but some people actually have medical gluten intolerances. There we go. Shame. Hey, man, it's nobody's fault. Gluten intolerance are just a weird thing. I mean, to be fair, I do think that it's a weaker trait to not be able to eat breads or milks, but you know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You know, just how it is sometimes. All of us to do it. I don't know what I'm nothing yet. Nice. I want to get music. I get music while I'm like kind of in my browser. When I'm listening shit, we're not winging it. I want popular quick DIY base. Yeah, I like this. I love this song. I can't sing with it because I have this thing playing, but save. Close. There we go. Oops. Oh my god, come here. The women you love, them turn the minutes into moments. Oh wait, I did this wrong. The dark, shadow. This has to be a vertical clip actually. If we're making it a vertical clip, let's do it like this. The dark. I like their outfit. Their outfit's funny. Let's unlink this. Let's take this. Move this. And then I'm just gonna unlink it one more time. Just so that way I can... Oh, shit. What? Oh. I made an oopsie. Edit. Oh, fuck. Right there we go. Link clips. one below and one above. This one's gonna be the above one. That's smart. Why didn't I just do that? And then one below. I'll just zoom into the gameplay. I think above, there's like an above bit in this that tells them that it's a bear. Yeah, there we go. So it's like, ooh, but the V-Stars thing is kind of in the way though. Let's just zoom it out a little bit and then bring it down. Yeah. Cool. Now let's get this background to be full. I'm going to mute this so that way I don't get confused. And then timeline, create subtitles from audio, singular. I have D&D in like 2 hours, I think. An hour and a half. So I think we'll be okay. Let's see. Okay. And then your local. I wonder what the word scuzzy means. I hope it's not anything mad. I doubt it would be. PNG tuber. Howlet. Bones. Bones is here. This VTuber. I've been kind of lazy with my subtitles, but I don't really mind. You can go baconing. Hold on, I feel like when they say it's longer. Over on this is where the word yes. So I refuse to ever call it X. Just fine. Vibing? How did vibing become the word vlogging? Vibing. Time. They're freaking sick. She said fucking. It's fine. Sound like a kid when I say frickin'. Check them. Where the fuck did the word out go? Check them out. Oh. Okay, save. There we go. And then I need to replace this with Howlet. These stars. There we go. And I hope that's long enough. It is. Cool. And then I'm just gonna, no, that's fine. Yeah, and then I need to be in the 3, -496. And then their own hands. And then I'm just gonna move this to like right here, I think. Also this. Zoom position apply. Okay, now all has it. And now we're going to add in. And then this one. Clips. We remove the audio. And then 78924. Retain. And then we're just gonna change the speed to like 150. Might have to move where this is because it's kind of just in their face. Now move it like here. Let's see. Okay, let's do this one. Oh, frankly, okay, my frankly shitty pizza is in the oven. I do not work pizza station. No, that's valid. But I bet it'll taste good. Regardless. Zoom position crop apply this one. Let's just do this section. I like this section. Did it? It didn't get the retime process though, did it? No, it did not. Change speed to 150. We're gonna zoom this in a bit to be more on them and their pupper. There you go. That's such a cute little emote. Oh, it's the little dancey emote. I've always wanted one of those. Oh God. What was the? I gotta look at the script. Did I post my stuff? I did. Okay, cool. What the fuck? Why didn't it work? What didn't work? Oh, the brick. What happened? What's up, Vexed? Did it download everything? Oh, yes, it did. I just didn't name it right. That's why I'm confused. Right? Oh, resume. Oh, okay. The emote didn't go? I saw it. I saw the little brick boy. Maybe Twitch is just being weird. Especially if you're on mobile, it'll definitely be weird. I forgot what is in the script. It is. This has a space for the heart for gritty fantasy games. Which of these is a gritty fantasy game? Minecraft. Ooh, Dark Souls. That's it then. Understandable. I like it. I like it. Good brick. A good brick. For gritty fantasy and PvP focus games. Did I get one that's PvP? Let's do Dead Cells. Let's do Dead Cells because that's technically a gritty dark fantasy game. Technically. let's do the retime effect. And then let's do... What the fuck? Did I not apply the zoom? Hmm? Okay, yes. Oh, it's because their ratio is different. Ratio is different than it was before. Oh. Oh, it looks like they play most of their games in this, like... Okay, it is a bit different, but that's okay. Just do it, like, in this zone. See, and then the PvP one. Link clips. Let's remove this portion. Apply, make sure the retime effect is on there. I think I just like it where it was. Scylla. This is your only way home. Deep down. Deep down. When I get the part where it's shitting on him. No longer keep. We are the same. But you were asleep. Leaving and feeling betrayed. I'm so sorry. There's no price we won't pay. We must. Ahead, full speed ahead. Time, another single ourselves. Light up 6 torches. Okay, oops. Retain. Like that, and like zoom it in more. I just want to move it like this. I like moving it with the thingy. Wait, I want to scoot this. Oof, okay. Let's do it like... I think there's too much waiting here. And like this. And then... I'm gonna look up something. TV. Videos. Clips. Let me see this one. Top all. It's really cool when they're like dressed up. Top. Let's do 30 days. Well, this is cool. I like this outfit. Let me get this one. Save. Pause. Also, I'm not lurking. Oh my god, he's playing Pilgrim? Hold on. I have to talk to Gordy. I'm playing Pilgrim? Oh my god, what the fuck? I'm memeing him. I want to meme him. Rotate. Zoom in on them a bit more. Wait, is Zoe streaming? They are, okay. Okay. I think I'm hearing two streams at once. Okay. Okay. Ooh. A highlight. A VTuber highlight for. Okay. Just gotta say hi to the Pumpkin King. We gotta lurk in their stream because they're gonna become partners soon, and I want to see that happen. They crashed. I fucking looked away. What channel should I drop my pizza pic in? You can do it in fridge. It'd be perfect in fridge. Actually, that's like perfect in fridge. Alright. Save. I gotta reopen this. Wait, I want to react to this. Oh, Vex. Oh, you fucking I was about to call you dirty names. Ooh, these look so good. Ooh, you know what? You know what? You know what, you dirty bitch. These look so good. Ooh, fuck. Fuck you. Are you gonna share? Are you gonna share? Are you gonna share? It looks so good. Ooh, yum. Great job. Oh my god. I want all of it. I want to eat all of it. Let me all of it. I want all of it. I want all of it. Ba 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 ba. Sure, come on over. Yes! We'll have a picnic. I'll bring something. I'll probably get some like drinks and a blankie. I have so many blankies. I'll break something. I could bake you something. I could do that. Okay, while that goes, we're gonna do New York Times because I gotta stay sharp. I gotta stay sharp. I don't want to be a grandma just yet. I don't want dementia just yet. Play. Again, from the way you're talking. Ooh, fuck. I haven't heard this song in a while. You're just crying oil, cyanide, surprise. Opposite of SWS? ENW? ENE? Okay. Shoot out as lava from spew. Oh, I'm smart. I'm smart. In what place? In these nuts. Oh, sorry. Plants you didn't plant, perhaps weeds? Like mini crosswords and phonetic descriptions of this puzzle. Cross? I don't know that one. Fencing sword? Oh, prone to geeking out nerds. Nerdy? Farm animals that sound like vowels not seen in this puzzle. Okay, time to start cleaning up for the night lurk. Thank you for the lurk. I love you lots. Have fun cleaning. I love cleaning. Stadium at which the Beatles perform. Oh, I don't know. Organization for Hulk Hogan and John Cena. WWE. Where? Eewees? What the fuck are Eewees? EPs? EPs? Easy. Okay. Shea. Hi, what a type of butter? Shea butter, you know? Alright. Match. Hat. No, oops. Oops. Hatch. Hate. Kate. Oh. Attach. Attack. Oh. Hatchet? How do you spell hatchet? Hatch. How do you spell hatchet? Hatchet? HATCHET. Matcha. Ache. Take. We don't have an R. Cha-cha? Cha-cha? Ha-ha? Tee-hee? No! Math? Hath? Oh, wait, hath? Cash? Nice, I did it. Wordle time. Wait, before I do Wordle, let me do the other. Workspace, scripts, snap captions, text-based generate. Audio. Plays. Fair. Mark. WHERE? Like where? Oh. So you're telling me there are two E's. Area? areas. Okay, Ada's okay. What word has two E's? An A and an R. So it could be like E-E-R-A-E-R-E. No. R-A-E-E? No, E. Treat? Oh. So I sounded like a puppy when I said that. Treat? E? No, there's not an I. R-E-A? No. I don't know. What the fuck? Something R? Yeah, I guess, yeah. So, okay, E can't go here. Here. Okay, so it's E. A. R. E. Year. I don't know. Yearn? Yearn? Yurt? Yerk? It's not E-E. Dude, I don't know what this word is. Okay, hold on. Words with two E's and an A. A-E. I have another E. 5-letter words. Yeah, we want a 5-letter word. No. A lair? But the A isn't in the first place. And we can't use an L. Glare? No, the L again. Not the S. Eves? No, it needs an R. Erase? No, because not, no. Would it be this one? No, the S. What the fuck? Maybe. Oh, wait. Yeah. Eager? Eager, maybe? It might be eager. It might be eager. Yay! I cheated, but I don't care. Dude, that was hard. Damn. Animal drives. Cobra. Animal drives? Instincts? Jaguar. Oh, I don't know. I don't know cars that are named after animals. Automobiles. Cobron? Cobra? No, it's not Cobra. Impala? Oh, Vexed. Nice one. A beetle? Beetle. Mustang? There we go. Now we're getting it. I don't know what the fuck this is. Tibar. I don't know cards. I don't know cards either. I only know some. Bronco. Rabbit. Rabbit. Hey! All right, now for our favorite one. Flute, Madrid, Grounds, Ice, Estate, Power, Seville, Foundation, Butterfly, World, Reason, Crust, Slush, Bases, Best, and Deal. Grounds, Foundation, Reason, and Bases? Woo! Yeah! Same brain cell V. Same brain cell V. Same brain cell V. Okay. Okay, I think it's... These have something. You're so cute, thank you. Powder, Slush, Ice. They're like forms of snow, I think. Flute, Madrid, World, Butterfly, Bess. I feel like this might be a red herring. Might be a red herring. World? We'll try it. Oh, one away. Okay. I don't know what the one away would be. Maybe crust. I don't think. What's a best? What does best mean? I don't think it's world. Maybe. What's a Beth? First name Bess. Trinidad Slick and Trinidad Bess is just saying just. Ew. I'm gonna guess crust. Whoop. Types of snow. Yes. Okay. Oh, this one's hard. What is a Sebble? What is a Sebble? Sebble is a oh wait, oops. What is a snow crust? I don't know. Sebble is a place. Snow crust. A snow crust is a hard... Oh, it's like an icy layer that's on top of snow. So if you ever hear like someone like push into snow, and there's an icy layer on top of the snow, that's snow crust. Apparently. I feel like it's... But then what would... Like these ones? State sale. Butterfly. I'm gonna guess it, but I don't really know. No, okay. Maybe these two? This one had to go with a place. I don't know. Flute, World, Estate, Deal. Butterfly. Maybe get a hint? Yeah, you get a hint. Today's the will is a 3 out of 5. Okay, so We got, so we need blue and purple. Butterfly and estate. Cool. So butterfly and estate are two separate ones, which I feel like we already knew that though. NYT 704 hints. Magnolia. Okay. Trust the process to cover mountains. Partial names of famous scores and proceed with words that rhyme with meal. What? Precede the word. What does precede mean? Lead up to a word that rhymes with meal. Those are terrible hints. They're terrible hints. Partial names of famous scores. What are famous scores? Oh, like songs. Or like... Oh, like film scores? Because the only one that rhymes with meal is deal. Goes with movies? Dude, I don't know. Can I have another hint? I don't wanna... Proceed leads up to a word that rhymes with meal. Am I looking at the right one? It is the right one. What? Does the word before rhyme with meal? What do you mean? No. Meal estate? Real estate, real estate, real deal, real world. I don't know what the fucking other one is. Madrid, flute, butterfly, bees. Butterfly, bees. Nope. Real butterfly, real flute, real Madrid. Is Real Madrid a thing? Real Madrid is a team. Wait, did that say one away? Hold on, I can do it again. I guess I don't know. I think so. I think it's Real World. I think it's this. I'll go look at clip. Give me a sec. Okay. Wait. I'll do my my subtitles real quick while you check. Big dirty stinking bass. Dirty stinking bass. Negative 19. Copy. Yeah, it was one away. Okay, so it could be butterfly, flute, Bess, and Sebel, maybe? Think you're right about Madrid? Okay. Well, I guess we'll try it. Yay! Okay, what's this one? Last words of famous opera titles? I don't like it here, guys. That's so stupid. But we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it though. With one mistake left. So at least we did it. I think the hints that we looked up were stupid though. Those hints were bad. Yay. Scuzzy. Playing video games and probably eating your bones. Here. What kind of words did you get? Oh, for spelling bee, I got it won't tell me. I got like match, hatch, hatchet, math, hath, I don't remember the other ones, to be honest. I did with my teacher and she managed to get me match. Damn! That's a really good one. Wow. There's a special place in there heart for pretty. And also PvP focused games. Wait, what? You can. What the fuck? Catch. You can catch. Or on Twitter. Twitch? This is supposed to be Twitch. Did I say Twitter? I did say Twitter. Okay, wait, did I mean that? Did I mean to do that? I did. Silly goober or just vibing and having an overall great time. So if you're interested in seeing a trash prosper or crash and burn spectacularly. Okay. I wonder if I can just stitch in the word Twitch. So I'm gonna try that. Cause I really don't want to record the whole thing again. Actually, I could just re-record the line. I think that'll be fine. Hold on, let me get to Audacity really quick. Okay, but seriously, what is an attaché? Because my friend put that, and I'm mad that it's a real word. Isn't like an attaché like an acquaintance, like a person that attends something with you? Twitch. File. Sorry, that was the burp. Sorry. He said it was luggage. Oh, I guess. Yeah, maybe. Attaché. A person or a staff or of an ambassador typically special. Oh. Attaché case. Small. Yeah, okay, yeah. Like a briefcase. Like a briefcase. Sorry. Twitter, Twitch. Just means attached. Ew, that's a bad word. Shrug. It's a word. English, how could you? English do have the audacity. A lot of the times. See, so rip your heart out. What happened to the... Oh, V stars 4, don't? I put it in here by accident? I did. Thanks. It's just a sneeze. It makes my brain hurt when I sneeze sometimes. Nope, that's not that. What the fuck did I save this? V stars 9. This one is save. Yes. Okay, now it's here. What? Okay. On Twitch. Okay, maybe. On Twitch. File, export audio. Did you say? Yeah, so I think what happens when I sneeze is, my brain slams into the front of my head and it hurts. Hi, Condemned. Welcome in. that did not work the way I wanted it to. Why is it not? File, export audio. Twitch. Ah, my brain, my brain! Don't bonk me, it's not my fault. Oh, my brain. My brain, please. Please, it's not my fault, I promise. Okay, so if I were to just crop this section of audio out. Alright, just no more than that. Oh my god, okay. Oh my god, please just fit. No. My thing is being silly. No. Just no. No. Okay, I'm just zoom in. Now I'm moving home to my flesh and bones. Okay. What? What the fuck? What's happening? My brain is like dying. What? Hello? The fuck? On Twitch. Oh, the is so quiet. Okay, hold on. Try it again. Twitch. Over on Twitch. Okay. Twitch. I feel like it's so quiet. Let me just give me this whole section. Okay. I'm gonna go over here. The part didn't come with me. Come here. Come here. I need this little clip to come over here. Okay. Can I speed this up? Link clips. So like maybe like this? Why? What's happening? Link clips. Link all the clips. And then oops. Now I gotta fix this. Think that I will not tell me I know how to think of. I'll just take this. And then change speed to 75. Nope. Need to 50. Okay, we're gonna do this with Obis. You have to reopen Obis. Have we shower pixels? Sorry, I got concerned over this. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to redo this section, which is fine. Launch anyway. Close window. Nope. I gotta go regular. Oh, we're gonna do recording studio, and then recording studio, and then BLT's gotta hide. I gotta hide Seji. Recording, and then what outfit was I in? First, I have none of this, and then my hair is normal, and then I have none of this, and I don't have a hat. Okay. Oh, and my hair is normal too. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, I also have to hide my mouse. Okay. Okay. Start recording. You can catch them over on Twitch being a silly goober or just vibing out and having an overall great time. Okay. That should be keyed. This one. Oops, not that. This one, video segments, this one. And now I have to go back into here. Edit here. Link clips. Position. Ah! Okay, don't fuck the lane. Oh, Kiwi White Bungus, please! I fixed it! Promise! I think the audio is gonna sound weird though, which is messing me up on the brain side, but it's okay. Regular. Okay. We'll see. Find out. Let me just turn these off for now. Okay, but it's the section. It's here. Like a slight. I have a mic change. Oh wait, that has to go here. And then time goes here. Boop. Boop, boop. Oh, boop, boop, boop. And overall. Oops. Let's do it the other way. There we go. Let's see. You can No. Can catch. Oops. Over on being oh my god, please. No, please. Da Vinci, no! Being silly. Hold on. Wait, it's not that jarring. Okay, I need to see this. You can catch them over on being a silly or text value or just vibing. Oh my god. I gotta talk about a cool streamer content. I'm happy. Yippee! What'd you get from Taco Bell? I love Taco Bell. Taco Bell, sponsor me. I love you. And if you want even cooler content, soon we're gonna do D&D. So overall, so great has to start there. Oh my god. Oh no. Alright, so that goes there. Great. Great. Oh my god. Time. And overall. Okay, I'm fixing it. Crunchwrap Supreme. Good choice. It sounds so empty. Can I? Okay, I think I fixed it. It's a little bit less. What that part? That fixed it. I don't know what I just did, but I fixed it. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy, I fixed it. Okay, also, I want to go to D&D with my outfit on. All right. All right, so just vibing. Just vibing. Just a little bit off the top. So just has to start here. Just. Then or starts here. Or. Goober. I think this is Goober. Okay, I think I got it. I love doing content if I'm not supporting. I love doing content if I'm not supporting people. That's banging, bro. Me too. I just feel wrong. You can catch them over on. You can catch them over. Why does it seem so fast? You can catch them. I think it's because of this. Twitch. Oh shit, this is the problem. Oh my god. What kind of content do you like to make? Wolf? Sorry, my brain died for a second. Oh my god, I'm gonna... So I sit here, feed my face, and support you. Can't get anybody... Oh, you're so cute! I love my chat. My chat the best. My chat cheering me up today a lot. You guys are cute. Okay. On. So Twitch starts here. The word Twitch starts right there. Pornography. Bringo bird. Yee! Over on. Ugh. Over. Catch them. Okay, maybe that's better. Hell yeah, I did it. Okay. I just gotta do the last little bit here. That was a pain in my fucking asshole to do. Check them out. People at Twitch and YouTube, I'm a part of Storm Keep Stream Team. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, it's lovely to meet you. I'm also a hell wolf. Oh, I like wolves. Wolves are very cool, but I have no predator senses. That's why I'm a cat cow. Stick around. So sticker. This freaking 6 looks actually. Were actually constructed by their own hands. Was actually constructed by own hands. So be sure to check them out. Cool. I did it. I figured it out. God damn, that fucking sucked a little bit. Mallows, fuck around and lose control. Man, now I want Taco Bell, but I'm too poor. You know. Alright, so I just gotta render that and send that to Howlet. Save. And now I can draw for a little bit. You know, the thing I've been wanting to do all day long. You know, I love to get high my load. Fuck around and get control. The only person cool here is you. You're cool. You're cool. I mean, I guess if you're a hellhound, you're not really cool, you know, because temperature-wise, that doesn't really work out, but you get the point. You get the point. No. I don't like that it says it's going to take 80 minutes for that, but it's fine. Feels to slip away. Oh no, I don't know. Should I just go home? Is Havoc streaming yet? I don't think he is. Already in the Dragonlance. I need to update! I need to update my Fantasy Grounds! Oh no, yeah, you know, I love to get out my lows. Fuck around and lose control. Oh, Noble's doing stuff. Peanut butter burger. Peanut butter burger. Kind of hot and fluffy. I love fluffy. We're both fluffy. Fluffy, 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 fluffy. I love being fluffy. Oh shit, BLT's gone. It's fine. BLT can go take a nap for the day. Speaking of BLT, I'm not sketching them. Okay, I might. Oh, okay. Coming back to this, I think I like the smaller eyes. I was like covering one side of the screen to tell, but I think I like his smaller eyes. Oh shit. The Rick. Hold on. Go to as it's running. What's this thing? Get out of here. And now we say, what? Hi. Where I'm supposed to be. Okay, there we go. I think it's gonna be a new BLT. Okay, so I'll keep that for now. Update. No. Can I set a background? Set background image in Affinity. To set a background image in Affinity, you can either replace existing background with a new image or the background layer. That's photo! God damn it. I gotta pee. Fucking. Oh, okay. That's fine. You don't wanna wake up. Sucks. I love your vibe. It's great. I hope we can become great friends. I'm down. I love friends. I'm a very social person. Sometimes. I'm kind of lying. I'm not always social. I'm just a bean. I'm a bean. That's the truth. I'm a bean. Advanced GG Chibi. Yeah. That's who we're affiliated with. I have a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go pee really quick so I don't have to go pee when we go into D&D. But I'll be right back and then we can chat more and I'll doodle. I'm back. Yeah, we have D&D in like 18 minutes. 18 minutes. 18 minutes. I could go in there and just hang out with them and just doodle. I could, but I don't know if I want to. I could though. Might be a better transition than me like doing what I do. I don't actually know. I want to doodle a little. I mean, I'm gonna be doodling when I go. Hi back. Thank you. Oh shit. Oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me. I thought I knocked over my water cup. Would have been a bad time to knock over a water cup. Okay, is my D&D doodle? Doodle? Yeah, doodle. Am I saying doodle weird? That's how I say doodle. Join campaign. Oops. Okay, I'll join in a little bit. I don't think Havoc's not even live yet, is he? I don't think so. Havoc. He's not even live yet, I don't think. I can't spell though. No, I just want to spell it weird. Valid. Havoc. I can't spell. You let me know when he goes live. I'm gonna doodle. Oh shit, my tablet's not plugged in. So fucking smart, dude. So fucking, did I ever send, I forget if I ever sent something to someone. Actually, I can figure it out this way. Cinematic. I don't think I did. I forgot if I sent these to you, but here is all the files. They are organized, though. Kind of. Mostly. Okay. This one. I gotta play with my new brush. We'll play with my new brush. Boop. There we go. And then I don't actually know how I want to draw this chibi. I just know that I do. And I'm gonna get fucked up because I don't know how I want it to come out. I just know it's a thing in my brain. And then like yeah, and then like little fees. I think the angle on that's wrong. And I want like little hands. I think is how I would like it to be. I like this pencil. Like I fucked up this pencil still. Maybe it's fine. Feels like it's fucked up though. What is up with you? Is your accumulation thing weird again? I feel like it is, but it's fine. Boop, boop. My body, flesh and bone, yeah. Sigh about me, burn blood. And then so like would be more here. I don't know if you'd really see it, to be fair. little arm. The elbow would be a bit more here. And then 45 minutes close to a new personal best? Wait, for what? For what? We playing a game? Are you driving home? I'm confused. And I have tetas. I feel like maybe this one needs to be longer. And this hand needs to be shorter, maybe? I might want to sprite myself even harder. I don't think I'm gonna... No, I feel like I shouldn't sprite myself too hard. Okay, so, I don't know how to draw, guys. I'm trying, though. Like this. You know what? No, I don't know. Floating images. Oh, this one's cute! Hold on, I want to reference this one. Happy image. Yeah. Take a boy to happy out. Okay. Okay, so let's try this again. So it's gonna be like a circle for the head. Right? It's a pretty goddamn big circle, but you know, it's fine. Let's clean up the sketch a little bit. And then let's do it like this. And then, oh my god, I love this little cheek thing that they're doing. Anywho, so it's like head and then the body. Above. Let's do it like this. And then like so. Except this is more like this. And then they have another leg and it kind of goes out. Okay, so if I replicate that over here, it's like this. And then we take the little balls. And then we do it like this. And then like so. And then for the arm, which is where we started it, is one would be here. Really trying to like learn. Okay, and then let's lower the opacity on that. And then we'll try to draw like the body. I don't know how I'm going to do that arm yet, but let's do it like this. My love, did I mistake you for a sign from God? Or are you really here to cut me off? Oh, baby, just to turn me on. 'Cause these days I would be like... Okay, I'm going too far into detail. Let's just keep it like that. And then... Would I wish that I could be your man? Oh, maybe make a good... It doesn't matter too much, the shape. Okay, he's live. Okay, cool. I will give myself four minutes. And then I'll go in there. I want to draw the shape really quick. Out of what's in the blue. You say, oh, something you do. My boobies are bigger. Thank you, though, V. Below. Say, oh, no, to go. I never studied feet. Rain hit first though. It's okay, you're first in my heart. Also, it's an unfair advantage because, you know. Nice ones. Uncommon, it says shit said and done. It's a dead fucking roach in the city that we run. I got the jeans and the hides lost. Leans and hydro. I think that like's kind of cute. Cause wherever I go, meow, meow, meow. With leave it a lurk. I want the foot to be like more front facing, I think. I do like 3 fingers. So like here, so it'd be like hydro. Smoking hydro. This is like the fastest I've ever tried to draw, sketch something. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Ah. Ugh, fuck. I think I would have like boob here too, wouldn't I? I think that's how that works. Buy money, no the sponge like fun, no the star keep shining, no the likes fun. All got in common and the shit's said and done. Fucking roach in the city that we run. Until my eyes grow. Hell lean smoking hydro. Wherever I go, meow, meow, meow. Alright, we're gonna go write Havoc now. I'm gonna go ahead first. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I'm rating you live. I'm rating you live. I'm live and I'm rating you. This is what's happening.
My goodness.
I've decided I thought this was going to be a good idea. I don't really know why I think this was a good idea, but it's a good idea. Maybe it's because then I don't have to say bye to my chat, because my chat's just going to you. Maybe? I don't really know.
Before this?
Huh?
What?
I asked, did you eat a bowl of sugar before this?
No, my ADHD. Oh, I had Adderall and I had an energy drink, like a bit of an energy drink today.